What is going on, everyone? We are about to ring in 2021, and what better way to do it with some good college football? January 1st, it is Auburn, it is Northwestern going down at noon on ABC. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the new head football coach and Brian Harsin, and it's all going down right here on our final edition of Head to Head.
Let's go now.
What is going on, Cole Cubelic? Did you have a good Christmas? First and foremost, I got to get the good questions out of the way first.
Yeah, wonderful Christmas. Obviously, 3 kids under 6 was pretty exciting for us. So Santa was good to our house, and we had a lot of fun. It was really cool.
Yes, love to see the kiddos run downstairs and open those presents. Those were always my fond memories as a wee little tyke. And so Auburn gets a new head football coach, and for some that may be a welcome present. For others, I don't know. But I want to get your thoughts, Cole. We haven't had a chance to discuss it here on Head to Head, so I just want to get your thoughts on Brian Harsin. He comes over from Boise State. What do you know about the guy, and kind of just your overall thoughts on what he can do for this program to sort of give him that spark and maybe revitalize things on the Plains?
Yeah, I like the hire. I think it's a good hire. I think it's a strong hire. And even before you get into the football aspect of it, I thought it was really a monumental step, almost a leap for Auburn athletics and Auburn football, because this was a guy that Alan Green went and got. It was his guy on his list, and he had to go vet the interest. He had to come back and he had to convince that everybody on that advisory board should take a look at Brian Harsin and consider him. He won them over, and then obviously he and President Gooch were able to get the deal done. We know how things have worked at Auburn for a long time. The good old boy network with power boosters behind the scenes, essentially running the show. And I think there was a lot of fear with a lot of Auburn fans that that's the way that this hire was going to go down. The fact that it did not, and it happened the way that it did, and Alan Green being able to flex a little bit, I just think it's a magnificent day for Auburn athletics because they went and made a decision that they believe is best for Auburn University, Auburn athletics, and Auburn football. That's a big plus. On to Brian Harsin as a coach. I think he's super focused. I think he's a hard-nosed, gritty, tough individual. I think he's a guy that's overcome adversity in his life, and I think he's a winner. And I think the main thing that Auburn fans will probably see, 2 things that they will like. You're going to get a more physical football team on both sides of the ball. You're going to get an offensive line that fires off the ball and wants to push people around. You're going to get a defensive line that still continues to go out and try to punch you in the face. But I think also you're going to get consistency. And let's be honest, Lauren, that's been the biggest concern, the biggest issue, the biggest point of, I guess, frustration for Auburn fans the past few seasons. Now, you're going to get a guy in that's pretty even-keeled across the board. You don't see the peaks and valleys with him emotionally, and you don't really get that with his football teams either. I think that carries over. It translates to the practice film, to the film room, to the weight room, and then obviously into the season week after week after week.
Okay, so with that being said, as we get into this matchup, when you look at this Auburn football team, 6-4 on the season, going up against Northwestern, 6-2. Now Auburn 2-5 in its last 7 bowl games, so certainly a win here would be huge for them. Kevin Steele, right now the interim head coach, and I know Brian Harsin, has been talking to the guys, kind of give them that pep talk, put your head down, work hard, go to work, let's get this thing done. I want to just get your thoughts from a player standpoint. When you are in the midst of this turnover, right in the middle of your career, no matter where it is, whether you're a freshman or a rising senior and you're sticking around at Auburn for the long haul, I mean, do you think there's some positive juice going on? Do you think there's some turmoil? Do you think it's a little bit of both, mixed emotions? What do you think's going through their heads right now?
I think it depends on who you are. I think it depends on what your role is on the team. I think it depends on what your status is on the team. Have you been a starter? Have you been a guy that's handled things the right way? Are you a guy that's in good graces with the coaches and the other people around the facility? Because parts of that are going to carry over, but it's obviously going to be a fresh start for a lot of guys. So if you feel like you've been dealt a bad hand, or you haven't been treated fairly, or you deserve more opportunities, this could be a chance for you to go out there and get them. I think scheme and system is going to have a lot to do with that, Lauren. It depends on who's brought in as the offensive coordinator, who's there as the defensive coordinator. There might be a defensive tackle or a nose guard or an edge rusher or a defensive end or a linebacker that they just don't feel like they really fit in to what the new plans are going to be structurally on either side of the football. So I think it's probably frustrating right now because you're in a bit of a waiting period, because the old staff's going to get you through the bowl game. You know you have a new coach. You don't know who your new staff members are going to be, so you're kind of in limbo. My advice would be go out, handle your business, take care of this bowl game, try to get a win, perform to the best of your abilities, try to get better in practice, take care of yourself, obviously from a COVID perspective and trying to be prepared for the game, and then let's just let the chips fall where they may. You'll have time to make a personal decision after all of those things are laid out. So I think it's probably mixed emotions right now. Some guys are thrilled, probably less guys thrilled. And I think some other guys are probably a little bit disappointed that the coach that recruited him, the coach that they had personal conversations with, is not going to be there any longer.
And of course, you mentioned the opt-outs, the concerns. Some guys might stick around, some might not. Coming into this one, there are reports Anthony Schwartz did not participate in the first 3 bowl practices, so he is expected to possibly opt out. Jamian Sherwood, another one, and Christian Tutt, all expected to opt out. Although Kevin Steele did say Sherwood's decision was made because of an injury. And then also to add to that, Mark Anthony Richards, the running back, I guess the 4th guy in line behind Tank Bigsby, Sean Shivers, and DJ Williams. So that all plays a big factor into this offense. What is this offense going to look like? We know Bo Nix has been good at times. He's made big explosive plays at times. I really think he could use a solid performance in this one to really get some juices flowing, to kind of, springboard into 2021, if you will. Just your thoughts on how they match up with this Northwestern defense, a defense that has been pretty good, in pass efficiency and pretty exceptional in fourth quarters.
Yeah, you're not going to get a defense that's going to give you a whole lot. You're going to have to earn it. You're going to have to take it. And I think where Auburn can have success doing that is athletically. Now, you mentioned a couple of guys. If a Tank Bigsby's not there, we've talked about this throughout the season, Lauren, that Tank Bigsby and Seth Williams are the 2 guys that I think if you remove them, this is a completely different football team. And a lot of people would say, well, Bo Nix and the quarterback this. I think you can find a way to maneuver around losing a Bo Nix if you had Bigsby and Williams. And Schwartz would be the next guy in mind, that he just forces defenses to play you a different way. Even though he's not utilized as much as a lot of Auburn fans would like him to be, the defenses still have to respect it. I've talked to multiple coordinators around this league that have said, we got to locate number 1 first. We got to know where he is, because we don't have anybody who can match him in his speed. So we have to make sure we're keeping him in front of us, and he's a guy that commands attention. That helps everybody else on the offense. I think you find a way to use your athleticism, get the ball in space, utilize the athleticism of Bo Nix, quarterback design runs, which we did see more of late in the year. Chad Morris did a really nice job with that. Find a way to get the ball out on the perimeter, out on the edge with guys who can run. And depending on who's there, we don't know exactly who that's going to be. But Sean Shivers I could see having a big game against Northwestern. You give him a couple tall sweeps, you give him a screen, you give him a jet, or maybe he's able to bounce a few runs outside. I think he could be somebody who gains a couple explosive plays. You're not going to find a ton of room in the middle of this defense. They're physical, they're tough. They understand how to play their gaps. They understand how to take on blocks. So I think it's going to be a little bit of visual deception, something Chad Morris is pretty good at. And then utilize your athleticism and your speed. That's the biggest advantage that Auburn has against this Northwestern football team.
Yep, and Northwestern, of course, from an offensive standpoint, they're not super illustrious. They're not throwing out all sorts of crazy things and not super productive, but they do know how to run the clock. And I do think that this is going to be a much more low-scoring game. What does Auburn's defense need to do really well, to get the win in this one, to help the offense out?
I think they need turnovers, because I think there will be drives that just don't go Auburn's way. When you have new bodies that are mixed in, you have this sort of rushed practice. Keep in mind, there's usually 2 or 3 weeks off, and then you have an extended practice period. You have a lot of time to prepare. You know everything going in. Now it's kind of, all right, we come in. This is essentially a short game week, road game week, that you're coming in. You're trying to jam everything together with some new pieces, new bodies. Now the coaches are half checked out. You don't know really what they're thinking and how they're managing things. So I think Auburn's defense needs turnovers, explosive plays. You got to find a way to make this Northwestern offense uncomfortable, because you said it. There are just not many areas that they're dynamic. There are not a lot of guys that they're just going to hand it to 25 times or throw it to 15, 20 times, or a quarterback that's going to light it up 45, 50 times in a game. They're an offense that just sort of takes what you give them. They sort of try to play to their strengths. They sort of try to look at what you're giving them structurally and then they manage it off that. It is an offense that plays complementary to their defense, and that doesn't happen a lot in today's football. But if the Auburn offense makes a few mistakes and Northwestern can slow this game down, which I believe that they want to, all of a sudden you could be in a very uncomfortable spot late in this football game. So I think takeaways will be critical for the Auburn defense in this game.
Yeah, no doubt. And they got to get better on third down. That has been an Achilles heel to them throughout much of the season. So third downs will be super important for them. I'm thinking low-scoring affair. I'm going to go Auburn, though, winning this one, edging it out 23-20. That's my final score. What about you, Cole?
I think the Auburn offense can be explosive enough to find a way to generate a few big plays, and Kevin Steele will have a good enough plan in place against an offense, like we said, that just hasn't been able to generate a ton of yards and a ton of points. I'm kind of with you. I'm going to go 21-13. Auburn finds a way to get this win.
Love it. Thank you. Happy New Year's. Happy 2021. We'll see you on the other side.
It's guaranteed that I die legend. Yeah, son God, homie, I'm reverend. Preach, just protecting my investment. Ask about me, integrity's not a question.